Hi, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
So you took the Art Center's business program, what we were calling nuts and bolts at the time.
Yes.
What do you remember the most from it? How do you think it helped you?
I think it helped me a lot because I went to school for interior design initially. And, when you go to school for design and art, sometimes they don't really cover the business end of being an artist. And I think artists get a bad reputation for not being good business people. I can speak definitely on behalf of myself in that manner, and also on behalf of many artists who I've worked with. We're not the best business people. So the nuts and bolts program, or the business program at the Art Center, definitely helped me get a better feel for how I should be handling myself as a business person. And thinking about myself as a business person whose business is art, more so than like being an artist. So figuring out how to better brand myself, what kind of outlets are good for my style of work. Before I took the nuts and bolts program, I did a lot of festivals like Riverfest and Lark Fest and Art on Lark and, farmers market shows. And it really wasn't good for me. So I learned a lot through the program about how to, market myself differently and find better outlets for this type of work that I'm doing, because it's not a one size fits all answer.
Yeah. It's funny. I often tell artists, it's not always what you do, it's what you don't do that defines you. So sometimes people get this idea that, oh, it's great for exposure, just do everything. And that's not always the best answer, is it?
No.
So you were saying to me at one point that the pop-up shows that you do were a direct kind of outcome from that. Tell me about your pop-up shows.
Sure. So during the nuts and bolts program, I had asked our mentor, Erin, about, where do you go to get exposure? Because as a new artist, and there aren't a ton of galleries in upstate New York, not compared to like New York City, where do you go? What do you do? And I was finding that I was submitting to shows all over and paying a substantial submission fee to just get rejection letter after rejection letter. And the bills start to stack up and you're like, okay, I've just spent hundreds of dollars on fees that literally got me nowhere. So Erin suggested throw your own show. So at that point, a lot of my friends and family had supported my art, come to my shows, bought pieces from me. So I wanted to go a little bit bigger. He does photography. So it was myself and him and 3 other local artists who just rented a space for one night. We got to the venue at 2:00. We opened the doors at 5. And in that 3-hour window, we literally hung all of our work and just winged it. I don't remember the first show because I've hired musicians who were in my class from Nuts and Bolts. Kate Sloat is a harpist and Jordan Taylor Hill is a DJ. We had, some drinks and it was very laid back. And I could not get over the amount of people coming through who were asking, when is the next show? And I really genuinely wasn't intending on doing more than one show. It was just let's see how this is going to play out. So then I did another show 2 months later, and then another show 2 months after that, and it started to catch on. But they're a lot of work. Because I have a full-time job that is pretty demanding, I can't dedicate enough time to justify opening a gallery. I don't have the means to run like a full gallery. So we were renting a space for a one-night show. And we always ran them during either Troy Night Out, or we did a couple during the Victorian Stroll.
Yep. So
we tried to do it, with the crowds and bring people out.
So tell me, how do you find spaces? What do you look for in a space?
Just like a centrally located space that people can come to and see what's happening and feel welcome. And that was one thing that I loved. My favorite feedback about the show is always that people there, both artists and patrons, always felt like it was a relaxed space. Sometimes when you walk into an art gallery, some people don't really know how to act. It's very quiet. Am I allowed to speak? Should I be quiet and not say anything? How do I look at art? And it can be intimidating for some people. So a big goal of mine with the show was to create a welcoming space for both artists and patrons. And then if a patron had a question about a piece of art, I would direct them, or, other artists there we would direct them to the artist who created the work.
Right.
So it was very much trying to establish relationships between artists and patrons.
Did you do a lot of sales? Do you feel like there's a lot of people buying art in the area?
We did. We do have sales. One thing that I like to offer to all of the participating artists is that they're welcome to bring like a big basket of prints. There are definitely a lot more sales in like the print category, and I think all artists have done well there.
Do you think that people could support more, could buy more? Would you want them to?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, it's getting people used to coming out. If you're not used to seeing art, if you don't know what to look for, if you don't know what's going to look good in your living room or your dining room or wherever you want to put your art, I think it's hard for people to commit sometimes. And, like I was saying, how sometimes it's awkward to walk into a gallery. Right. So the more comfortable we can get people to come to events like this and to feel relaxed and to not be afraid to ask questions about what they're looking at or who did this piece. I think that would help drive sales up, because the more people who come in, they're going to start buying, and then they're going to tell their friends, hey, look at this original piece that I found at this art show in Troy, as opposed to, a mass produced canvas print that you can buy at Home Goods.
Yeah. I'm always curious, because I always feel that if people were buying enough art, if places like the Art Center and others were really helping to create a collecting community, then we wouldn't necessarily need as many relief grants or other issues, right? If we created a more positive way for people to make a living. But I would like to work on that for sure. I just curious your point of view. How do you think the arts can help Troy?
Art makes people feel good. So a lot of times, like having, a presentation or a demonstration or a show or an event is just something like people can go to and enjoy themselves and usually feel pretty good about. So I like the idea of having more events, whether they're hands-on or not. I think that having more things like that, I'm trying to think of like a specific event. We have Riverfest, which is good, but maybe more stuff at the monument.
Yeah, we'd all love to do that. What do you think Troy could do for artists to make their life better or their future brighter? I
mean, I think that Troy is pretty supportive. I know a lot of people, like friends in Troy, they come to the art shows. They like to support local when they can. So I think we just need more of it. Once this pandemic slows down, I think we just need to remind people that we're still here, that, the artists are still available.
So Tori, what are you working on?
So I am working on a giant owl sculpture for Octay Elementary School in Clifton Park.
Is that what's behind you?
It is.
Let me see it.
So this is the body of the owl. This project has been really cool because I got to work with the 5th grade class of Octay Elementary, and I went in and spoke with them about welding and what their career options might be as a welder, or how to use it as art. We also talked about like recycling, and I showed them a picture of another large scale sculpture I've done for another school, and they got really excited. And their mascot is an owl. So we spent the rest of the class drawing pictures of what they all thought this sculpture should look like. And based on popular vote and physics, they're getting a great horned owl sitting in a tree.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Where's it going to go in the school? Do you know?
Yeah, we have a spot picked out in like the front yard area. So away from the playground, as we don't want people to play on it and get hurt, but by the bus loop. So
show me your equipment or your studio. What does it all look like in there?
Sure. So I have like a little 2-car garage that is my metal shop / my husband's workshop for wood and everything else that's not metal. So, and this is like stuff I get at junkyards and friends who are like, hey, I found this cool metal thing. You think you could use it? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. I don't know what it is, but it's heavy and I'll take it.
Okay. We'll be dropping off more if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
So this is my welder, and it does different types of welding, which is cool. It's pretty versatile and I like it. And over here, this is my plasma cutter. So welding fuses the metal together and the plasma cutter cuts it apart. There's an air compressor for that. And over there, I have a set of tanks for oxyacetylene welding, which you don't need electricity for, which is kind of cool. And over here, I just got this bandsaw for my birthday, which is pretty great. So it's pretty nice for cutting material.
I was just about to ask you, how do you invest in all of this? How do you make it work financially to have all this equipment?
I work really hard and I save my money from projects. That's obviously the goal, is to, make the money and then invest it back into the business. And I figure out what is taking me the longest to do, which task is the most inefficient, how do I need to replace it? And then that's how I decide what comes next. So
I think
that's about efficiency.
Like a very engineering way to go around it. So people often think that artists don't have that mindset, but you do.
Yes. So these, I'll show you. These are the wings for the owl.
Oh my God, those are beautiful.
Thank you. I went through like 20 Dremel pads on like the feathers, and it's been really fun. So those are about to get welded up to the body. And then I had some fun this weekend playing with different techniques for patinas. So like, here's a piece of steel that I got because I'm going to put it behind this piece, but I want there to be some color variation and some texture. So look what happens to steel when you put vinegar on it.
Oh.
This literally happened overnight. It's so cool.
Now, is that a permanent transformation, or will that wear off?
Nope, it's permanent. And then I even I sprayed it with a clear coat.
Okay.
So I want it to stop rusting there. So yeah, just trying to take the time during this pandemic to learn something new, finish some good projects.
I think you and I could probably talk all day, but it's funny to do these interviews during a pandemic because clearly it's on our minds, what our future will be, how we can keep people seeing art and coming together. But at the same time, I think sometimes we have hope, what do we hope will be different, or what will come out of this?
I hope that we'll all come out of this a little bit more appreciative of each other, of what we do have left, of what the new normal is going to look like. Because I don't think it's going to go back to the way that it was. I think some of it, yes, it will, but things are going to be different for a long time. So I think within adjusting, to just remember to be appreciative and grateful.
The other thing that Tori, strikes me in talking with you, I've been getting to know artists for a long time. You work hard. You have a hustle. You work hard. You get commissions. You've got the pop-up going on. Do you have any advice or messages for artists just starting?
Yeah, just put yourself out there, because things are not going to work. Like that is like a fact. I don't mean to sound dismal when I say that, but it's not a one size fits all thing. So until you find your niche, until you find your market, until you find what makes you happy and where you're feeling fulfilled, try it all. Try different venues, try different techniques, try different mediums. And along the way, you'll just keep your mind open with always learning new things, and you'll learn like what, I don't know, I just said that, but you'll figure out like what works for you and what doesn't. And that's how you get to where you get. I mean, if you try, because if you box yourself in and you say, you know what, I want to be a portrait painter and I'm only going to sell my art at this type of venue, and it doesn't work out, you have to be able to expand on that. If you really want to be an artist, you have to be able to figure out, think about it like a survival skill almost, that what is it going to take for you to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I agree. But like we started this though too, sometimes the other part of it is to stop doing what doesn't work, right? To limit once you've experimented, to remove that from what you're doing. Parting words. Do you have anything that you wish the Art Center was doing differently or better?
No, I've actually been like really happy over the last couple of years to see the different things that they are offering. Just different type of events and trying to draw more diverse crowds from different backgrounds. And
yeah.
I promote the Art Center all the time.
Yeah.
My friends are like, I wish I had more hobbies, or how did you learn to do this? It's like, just go to the Art Center. They literally have everything from like painting and drawing to culinary to, I took a knitting class last year at the Art Center. Like, I've been knitting this giant blanket all through this pandemic too. And I don't brand myself as that, but it's just something new and fun and a hobby.
It's funny. There was a funny joke about how, it turns out we need more than just time. Like we always said, oh, if I had time, I would learn how to knit, or I would learn how to do this, or I would do that. Well, we have all the time in the world, and some of us are doing it and some of us aren't. But, to try is, I think, part of what makes us happy, what makes us keep going.
Absolutely. And then, you know what, you don't like it, you get to move on if you don't like it.
Yeah. But I think it's sad when people don't try, when for whatever reason it may be, they just can't get it together, but hopefully they will. So Tori, I know that with the pandemic, it must be difficult. Tell me, how are you going to get pop-up back going?
So we're still collecting some feedback from artists and to see what they would like. And we're hoping to move it to a completely online platform, which will host for a month at a time. So it'll also be a nicer opportunity for artists instead of a one-night venue that we have rented for people to like, hope you can get out of work, hope it's not conflicting with this other thing that you have. The artist works will be available for a longer period of time on the website. So we're still trying to work out some kinks about like, who would take care of shipping? Would that be us or would that be the artist? So there are some things that we're working through, but people are welcome to reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram. We have Troy Pop-Up is on both. If you have ideas, we're open. So we're hoping in a few weeks to be able to put something together and participate in one of the next Troy Night Out events.
Well, I hope it works out. We're happy to help you and promote that and make sure that it all keeps going.
Thanks. We're hoping to help support local artists.
All right. Good luck with the owl. I'll see you at the pop-up.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Liz.